this is us leaving the ice day at Inverness, a nice little themed guest house. The room was very nice indeed. Slightly small bathroom, but it did the job. Like I say, this was a heavily themed place, which some love, right down to the Loch Ness monster teabag holder, which you'll have to look on their website for. But yes, it was nice. So from here we're heading up to Wick, and we're going to stop off at Loch Ness on the way. So see you soon. So we arrived at Loch Ness, and it was absolutely stunning. I've never been before, and I did think it was absolutely beautiful. So we even managed to get the drone up for the first time. It was a little bit windy, but we managed it. And it's nice with the drone, because you do get to see the view from a different angle. You know, from where you stood, it's not always best, but from there you can see right into the distance. Then it gives you the grand scale of things. Yeah, this place was beautiful, to be honest, and I'm really glad by the weather for that, because it did rain later. So there you go, take in Loch Ness. So from Loch Ness we headed up towards Wick, and we were staying at Thrumster House, so that was our first port of call. As we were heading towards Wick, we noticed a sign for Dunrobin Castle, so we thought we'd check it out and see what that was all about. Turned out to be a really nice, I'd say Gothic style castle. Not that I know a single thing about castles, obviously, but yeah, we popped in for a quick photo opportunity. this weather didn't last very long. It soon turned rainy, windy, and the footage was just terrible. So we popped into Wick just to go to the co-op and just get a few snacks for the evening. And this is where we're just coming back from now. And as you can see, it's got a lot duller, and it was much worse than that earlier. So yeah, we're just on the way to Thrumster House now, which we found to be an absolute amazing place. Just so bizarre but great at the same time. So Thrumster House is just out, it's a few miles outside of Wick in a place called Thrumster. And as you're going to see now, we're going to turn into it, and it's all on its own in the middle of like a little wood area or a small forest. And you know, I think there was a couple of the guests who we didn't see, but it was just I don't know, special, because you felt like you were staying in someone's manor house. And you was a guest, and it was just great. I mean, when we drove down here, we were just saying how spooky it seemed, because I'm like, where is the place, you know? And yeah, absolutely magical, spooky. Actually could be the set of a horror movie or something, is exactly what we thought. And apparently they had been approached to use the place as a film location for a horror film, but it fell through due to COVID. So it could happen. I've got to say, we were treated brilliantly here. From the cup of tea on arrival, the log fire was great. We almost dozed off. The breakfast was tremendously set out, and I mean, look at the setting, brilliant. I felt like Lord of the Manor, and this is us about to leave for John Groats. First, what we had to do was pop into AMS Motorcycles in Wick. Paul, very helpful, said that he would sort out Nicky's chain. We realised after a couple of days of travelling it had gone a bit loose. Mine was fine, but Nicky's needed tightening up. So because I didn't take a tool for that, we just popped into this garage, and the results weren't quite what we expected at all. Needless to say, we did get the chain tightened, but it turned out my tyres weren't good enough for the NC500. I just had an MOT, so the tyres were good. There were plenty of tread on them. They were definitely fine. However, what I failed to do, and this is my error, was to plan for such a journey like the NC500 on extremely abrasive roads. And the fact that I had Metzeler M7RR tyres on, Paul said that they were too soft for the NC500 and they wouldn't last 100 miles. And we still had about 1,000 miles to do. So I had some new tyres put on, Battleaxe BTO23, and off we went. Now, I'm sure somebody out there is thinking, why didn't you take a tool to simply undo the back wheel and tighten the chain? And it was something that I did consider, and I just didn't think I'd have the storage for it. So it was a bit, in a way I did fail in that sense. However, if we had not visited that garage and he had not seen my tyres, I would have attempted the NC500, and if he was right, would have run out of tyre. I would have had a pop, it would have gone bald, which leads to a whole host of issues. So I'm glad I didn't take the tool, because I ended up going to the garage and I had new tyres on, which I did contemplate putting on before I went, but I kind of thought surely those tyres will last 1,000 miles, or we ended up doing 1,500 miles, but I thought they'd last way over 1,000 miles, maybe more. The tyres weren't that old, however they are a soft tyre, and those roads did turn out to be extremely abrasive, and I'm not surprised he said what he said. Incidentally, a chain came loose again a little bit, and I borrowed a adjustable spanner off a camper van. So in hindsight, yes, I would take a tool, but in the same sense, obviously now I learned to check your tyres, but you've got the correct tyres. If you're running sportier tyres, consider whether they will last the NC500. The roads are terrible up there, you're braking more, setting off, accelerating, the roads are extremely abrasive, they're worn out in places, sharp in others. They're an absolute tyres nightmare, to be honest. So yeah, I hope somebody learns from that. So this is Ebenezer Place, the smallest street in either Britain or the world. It's in the Guinness Book of Records. Apparently it's a couple of metres long or wide. Nicky wanted a photo, so got it done, mate. Fast forward a few miles and we're just arriving at John O'Groats. This is Nicky's camera, so that's me in the front there. We've got to be honest, John O'Groats didn't really impress us that much. I don't know what we was expecting. Yeah, it was quite nice in the sense of, it was a nice big sea view, but it is really just a sign telling you that you're at John O'Groats. Obviously there is some cafes and restaurants there, which is great. But it was a little bit underwhelming, I guess. But anyway, it's part of the NC500 as such, so we thought we'd do it. bikes up in front of the sign. Caution here, because as you can see it's very loose gravel, hence why we're both a little bit nervous on that. I'm sure I saw a video of somebody else who did this and they either did drop the bike or nearly dropped the bike, so we just decided to be extra careful, as I think you should be. So from John of Groats we then headed across to Bettyhill, which wasn't too far, and that was going to be our stay for the night. We were staying at Bettyhill Hotel, which was okay, actually quite nice. Beautiful views from the restaurant. Menu wasn't that interesting and quite overpriced, I'd say, but it is a touristy kind of place. The drinks was nice, but again, a bit pricey. But we still had a nice time, the room was nice, and yeah, it was a lovely place. So the footage arriving at Bettyhill isn't working. I had no end of issues with the GoPro 8 and the Media Mod due to rain and all kinds of things. So yeah, that's that for now. The next piece of video we'll be leaving Bettyhill, so I'll see you then. So this is us leaving Bettyhill Hotel. As you can see, there's plenty of parking behind. A lot of it is gravel. When we arrived right in front there was 4 bikes parked and they'd got that really good spot before us. So the guy working there moved over the benches to the left and made some space for our bikes on this concrete, which was brilliant, and our room was close by anyway. So again, we put on the disc locks and the alarms and the bikes were fine. It's an area which is classed as being pretty safe. You know, there's always going to be some risk, but most people feel like the property is fairly safe up there. And as you can see, we set off today in absolute terrible weather to start with, and it didn't change all day, and we were heading for Reconic, and that's going to be the next video, because it rained and rained and rained, and we didn't start off so well. We did have his waterproofs on that there, as you can see, but by the time we got to Reconic everything was soaked, cameras were having issues, but we'll catch up with that in the next video.